Previously on Destiny.
This is as far as you go.
Please, for you I go instead. Oh no, darkness lives here. Death, you are not of ether. Can't bring you back.
All the same.
Yes, Father. We ever serve and await return.
Go.
I could tell you many tales of the master of all scorn. The witness, you say? No, I'm referring to the original master of the scorn. Some of you know him as the Fanatic, others by his true name, Fikrul. Welcome back, Guardians. My name is Samlab, and today I'll be talking about the leader of the Scorn and Barons. Many of you are New Light Guardians, so let's get you up to speed. As the title suggests, a master of the undead has returned, the infamous leader of the Barons, Fikrul the Fanatic. I made a video a while back discussing a possible return of Fikrul in Revenant Episode 2. He was once an Archon to the Prime Servitor Calcix Prime, within the House of Wolves. Sometime after the Taken War, Aldrin Sov, now Crow, found Fikrul wounded during his search for Mara Sov and wished for Fikrul to be saved. Somehow Riven, a taken Ahamkara, heard this wish and granted it, by infusing some of Aldrin's darkness into Fikrul's ether, which created dark ether, and raised him to become the first Scorn. After that day, Fikrul revered Aldrin, calling him father. The Fanatic would go on to help Aldrin Sov with his conquests to destroy the House of Wolves. Usurping his former Elixni, Fikrul would infect them using dark ether, leading to the birth of the Scorn. Since that time, Aldrin Sov, now Crow, holds himself fully responsible for what he did to Fikrul, House of Wolves and the rest of the Scorn Barons. Petra Venj reports during the last mission of Season of the Wish, we get our first breadcrumb pointing in the direction of the Fanatic. However, not aligned with the witness, but a different motive at play. Have a listen to this audio log from Mara Sov and Osiris.
Most of these Scorn are mindless husks raised by the witness. But others, they bear Fikrul's touch.
Has he resurfaced? Crow believes he fled the shore and remains a fugitive.
Petra reported activity from Fikrul's knights on Earth. They sought recruits, along with a dead Ahamkara's power.
Knights? Strategy? Their culture deepens. Fikrul means to make a wish, then. For the witness?
I think not. Their motivations are both against us, but not aligned. Something else is at play.
During the final mission into Riven's lair, Guardians come face to face with a Scorn, who are attempting to manipulate the confluence and seize the final Ahamkara egg for Fikrul. This is fascinating for multiple reasons, the first being that the Scorn were brought into existence by Aldrin Sov's wish. Riven took part of the darkness within Aldrin Sov and used it to create dark ether. In doing this, she ultimately made Fikrul immortal, unlike the other Barons, who have to be brought back to life via Fikrul himself. They were not granted immortality as he was. One of the most interesting aspects about this resurgence now is that we are given a very small piece of information regarding the motive. It was during the Warlord's ruined dungeon that Guardians learned of a castle which has been occupied by an Ahamkara named Heffend and a Guardian named Naeem, who had struck quite a unique bond. The story dictates that during the Great Ahamkara hunt, Shax had felled the beast, placing its bones within the castle, where the Guardian Naeem would later stumble upon them. Heffend would strike a bargain with Naeem, allowing the Ahamkara to grant wishes, while Naeem would suffer the consequences of these wishes. Sometime after, the Elixni House of Kings would attack the ruined fortress, and during the skirmish of battle, Naeem would be killed by House of Kings. In his final breath, the Guardian would make a wish. Unfortunately, Naeem's wish to Heffend would unintentionally turn the dead of House of Kings into Scorn. This is a big deal, because from a timeline point of view, the creation of the Scorn took place before Aldrin Solf would wish for Fikrul to be brought back to life. So to me, this would suggest that the creation of the Scorn, or at least the principle of bringing dead things back, is something every Ahamkara is familiar with. And it's never been discussed whether Ahamkara are able to communicate through telepathy, or a network of sorts. But after experiencing Season of the Wish, we can assume that each Ahamkara has access to some kind of collective of wishes, both granted and yet to be. A tedious question, Guardian, given that reports of Scorn activity increases have begun to emerge in different places. I think it's safe to assume the Immortal Baron has returned. The most troubling thing about the Scorn and Fikrul in particular is what they have been up to this entire time presents a far bigger problem than we could have anticipated. They are after all a somewhat new faction, but there was always unrest within the Elixni banners. No one thought the same. Even till today, Elixni roam the wilds of Earth either under well-known banners or have begun their own. Have a listen to this armament lore entry titled Buried Blood. Fikrul stands on the bridge of a seized ketch. Ravagers keep watch over a handful of Elixni that remain to pilot the vessel. 5 heavily armored Scorn kneel before Fikrul, their heads bowed in reverence. Fikrul steps forward.
Dark rumors whisper from the dreaming city. The reef hunts us. The darkness claims us. And our father is not returning. But even without Aldrin Solf, new Scorn will rise. All Scorn still live, unseen.
Fikrul waits for silence, before looking beyond the 5 armored Scorn knights to the greater horde that gathers. He turns and points his staff at the pilots.
These Elixni, they speak of Scorn risen on Earth, where dead things will hunt them, or darkness claims them. We serve only Scorn.
Fikrul raises his staff above his head.
We will bring them home, open their minds, as I have for you, as I will for all Scorn.
The horde gnashes and cheers.
Rathil, Malaris, Visix, Nimex, Sherlock's ascend,
commands Fikrul over the commotion. The 5 armored Scorn stand.
You, loyal sworn, will be my knights.
Scorn move from beyond them to present the knights with staves made in the image of their leaders.
Go to Earth, bring brothers and sisters home. before darkness claims them.
The knights bow.
Raphael,
Fikrul places a hand on the center knight.
you will lead.
Rathil enters the quarters of the Ketch's dead captain to see Fikrul gazing at walls of bound tomes filled with the Elixni scroll. Rathil could not understand the contents of these books, but his father had learned much from them. With time, he would learn to unravel their secrets as well.
Father, you called me. We prepare to leave.
Fikrul turns, a polished steel case in his lower arms.
I have one last gift for you.
Fikrul opens the case to display a clean-looking weapon, a sleek bolt caster. Rathil could see its original Elixni design, twisted, broken, and refashioned into something stronger as he was.
Claimed from kings by wolves. Modified Scorn now, like us. I am honored.
Rathil says, gently lifting the weapon from its case and bowing. Fikrul looks upon his son with pride.
I send you to claim kings, as we once did as wolves. Carry our history with you. Claim it. Bring it home.
Alas, the master of the Scorn has returned, and to make matters worse, the Scorn have truly become their own people, still bound by their honorifics of their Elixni lineage, however. Not only has Fikrul amassed a large following of Scorn, he is fully aware of ongoing situations. There are a few things that sound out, and the first being that free Scorn are emerging from all over the reef and on Earth, according to the captured Elixni. This in particular is strange, because as we know, the only way for Scorn to be made possible is through the introduction of Dark Ether. Dark Ether is corrupted and dangerous versions of a substance that fuels and provides energy to the fallen race, known as ether. Regularly, ether is bioluminescent fluid produced by servitors. Spherical robotic constructs, revered by the fallen, are responsible for synthesizing ether. There are only a few examples in-game of dark ether harvesters, which are powered by corrupted and broken servitors. However, this presents a problem. Dark ether, historically speaking, has only ever been available to Scorn exclusively. There is no other documentation or documented case of Elixni coming into possession of Dark Ether. If unaffiliated Scorn are appearing throughout Sol, it could mean one of two things: that someone is supplying Dark Ether to Elixni, or an Ahamkara is granting wishes. The strangest part about what happened at the Warlord's Ruin is this: the Ahamkara named Heffend had seemingly gained the power to take. But where did this come from? It seems strange to me that another Ahamkara other than Riven was able to use the power to take. And this leads us to two more questions. Did Oryx take more than one Ahamkara? Or has the Witness been taken Ahamkara after observing Oryx using darkness to take Riven? It does seem that Ahamkara wield paracausality in some sense. The anthem Anatheme allows them to wield power from between what is and what might be. The matter of more Scorn appearing on Earth still interests me though. Is Dark Ether just available anywhere, or is the wish that Aldrin Sov made to Riven still coming to pass? When Aldrin wished for the Baron's return, it was one wish, though we still don't know what the consequences were of that wish. But if not, then where are these new Scorn emerging from? As far as we know, Fikrul is the only Scorn with the power to turn dead things into more Scorn. Another fascinating part of this lore entry is the Elixni who have been captured by Scorn. It is intriguing because there hasn't been a moment in Destiny where we have seen Scorn and Elixir occupying the same space at any one time, and much less actually being able to communicate with one another. But given that the Scorn are originally corrupted or deceased Elixir with dark ether, it would make sense that they are still able to communicate with their former brethren, and more importantly, remember who they were before passing away. Alright, so it's no mystery to any Guardian that Cayde 6 will be returning to Destiny in the final shape, and I'm as excited as you are. However, there is one aspect of this that doesn't really sit well with me. The first is that Cayde by all rights shouldn't even be alive. I mean, he had a funeral, he has a memorial in a makeshift tower of the Lost City, so what gives? Now, I have two explanations as to how or why this could have happened. The first is that the Traveler is a generator of natural life, we've heard this before. Then perhaps Cayde was genuinely resurrected by the Traveler, which in itself is fascinating, as we have seen the Traveler resurrect Nezarec in the Root of Nightmares raid, which I have spoken about several times, and so has Bife, and I will link those videos in the description, but it's all about how they have essentially been used as part of what the Traveler will call its final shape. Okay, fine. Though, there is something strange about how Cayde looks completely intact, and Ace, his firearm, is cracked and filled with some sort of glowing light. So let's assume that it's paracausal energy because, you know, inside the Traveler, right? Second, the Guardians, according to what we know about the Pale Heart, when a person enters into the realm of the Traveler, the space is influenced by the experiences of whoever enters. Hence why a lot of places bear resemblance to the pyramid ships and other locations that the Witness has visited in the past. Check. Alright, that makes sense. Additionally though, Crow has entered the Pale Heart too. We already know that Crow has major regrets about his actions towards Cayde 6. Why? Because he said so himself. During Season of the Wish, he had a conversation with Marasov about his lament for Cayde and wished he could make amends. Some of you know what I'm talking about. But for those who don't know, have a listen to this armament lore entry titled Unforeseen Consequences. Be careful what you wish for. He remembers his sister's throne differently. An amalgam of elixir flotsam built from the spoils of war, its great weight suspended from the rafters. A throne Aldrin set ablaze in the wake of losing her. His first step down a forsaken path. Crow lays a hand on the throne before him. It is empty and ponderous. Silhouetted by distant nebulae and cosmic dust, it feels smooth, too smooth.
It was here that I first heard the news of your death,
calls a familiar voice behind him. He turns to see his sister striding down the hall. Mara takes her place beside him and gazes out into the far reaches of space. Did you mourn me? Crow asks.
I did,
his sister replies. She is silent for a moment.
And I regret what I did to you. The manipulation, the subtle coercion, none of it went the way I intended.
Crow follows her gaze out into the endless void. I know what that's like.
Remorse and recriminations,
Mara says absently. She turns her eyes towards him.
If you could go back, alter the course of your history, what would you change?
Where to begin? Crow muses with a smirk. It fades soon enough. Cayde, he whispers. Mara raises an eyebrow.
Oh?
Before then, I could have taken a different road. But once I pulled that trigger... He shakes his head. Everything else I can set right, but not that. I just wish I could tell him I shouldn't have done it.
I see,
Mara murmurs. Her eyes shine in the starlight. Crow sighs and rolls his shoulders back. I should get going. Vanguard's waiting on my report.
We all have our obligations, I suppose.
Don't I know it? Crow nods as he heads down the hall. He pauses at the portal to the dreaming city and glances back at Mara, ringed by the distant nebula. She shimmers like a mirage on desert sands, and then Crow is gone.
See you soon.
Mara's voice echoes across the empty chamber as the illusion fades.
Oh, brother mine.
It couldn't get any more ominous than this, and the ending of the lore entry all but confirms that the entity speaking to Crow was clearly Riven. Or was it? Hear me out. Riven isn't the only one who can shapeshift. Savathun is also very capable of shapeshifting. We saw this when she took on the form of Osiris and masqueraded as him for months on end until she was ready to reveal her plans to Queen Mara Sov in Season of the Lost. But no, I think the first hypothesis is correct. This is quite clearly Riven. We know this to be true because she has pretended to be Shax for a brief moment in Season of the Wish. Mara knew, of course, and called Riven out. As usual, Ahamkara are more devious than anyone could ever have imagined. The idea that Riven and Savathun worked together is already enough to make any Guardian break out in a sweat, but this Ascendant Ahamkara was able to move around freely within the Dreaming City. I can't help but wonder what else didn't she tell us. The premise of this lore entry reveals to us from the get-go that there will be an unforeseen circumstance. At this point in time, it's impossible to tell what that could actually be. Riven used Crow's wish to bring back Cade 6, so by rights the unforeseen circumstances could be a reckoning between the two of them. This is worrying. We've had our fair share of deaths in Destiny. Cade 6, Osiris, Asher Mir, Aldrin Sov, Commander Sloan, Amanda Holliday, Rasputin, and Brother Vance. Ironically, 5 out of all of these characters were either sort of dead or changed somehow. Cade 6 is now inside of the Traveler. Osiris was only put under a spell. Asher Muir is now within the part of the Vex network. Aldrin died and was resurrected as Crow. Commander Sloan is now part Taken and part Guardian. Another precursor to what light and darkness can do. Amanda Holliday was, well, had her life unjustly cut short for some strange reason. Bungie, please bring her back as a Guardian. And Rasputin, who was also destroyed after spending years building up for his return, only for it to be cut short again. A plotline that I definitely cried over and still haven't really made peace with as such. And we can't forget Brother Vance, faithful follower of Osiris, who entered into the Infinite Forest and hasn't been seen since. It will be interesting to find out whether he ran into any of the Ishtar Collective copies and is aware of what Maya Sundaresh is trying to do with the Vex. If there is anything to gain from all this, it's that death in Destiny isn't quite what it seems. Entering into the realm of the Traveler offers up a plethora of possibilities. We know that the Light and Darkness saga works in cycles. I wonder then, if this saga concludes, is this a reset? A true conclusion? Truly, I don't know. Guardians, we're weeks away, or probably days away, from final shape depending on when you watch this video, and there will be a lot to be excited about. As Mara Sov put it, there is still many battles to face. The Vex, Scorn, Hive, the Nine, and who knows what else is on our doorstep, yet to reveal this hideous dark plan at the edge of our solar system. Time is running out, and once Osiris connects the Veil to the Traveler once again, the battle for Soul and the universe will rest squarely on your shoulders. For now though, that's all I have for you. I hope you have enjoyed watching and listening to today's video. If you did, then consider leaving a like and a comment. What do you think Fikrul will do when he runs into Crow or Cade 6? If you'd like to see more Destiny lore, then subscribe and click the bell to find out when my next lore video goes live. And remember that no matter what you're facing at this moment in time, you can do all things. Stay safe and Godspeed.